You know, there's something about life after 60 that feels like a new chapter. The kids are grown, retirement might be on the horizon, and suddenly you have this space to think about what you want. Maybe you've been single for a while, or perhaps you've recently lost a partner, and the idea of finding love again has crossed your mind. It's a beautiful thought, isn't it? The idea of sharing your days with someone who makes you laugh, who understands you, who's there to hold your hand as you navigate this stage of life together. But let's be honest, remarrying after 60 isn't quite the same as it was in your 20s or 30s. There's a lot more to consider, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. In this video, we're diving into the topic of remarrying after 60 and exploring 5 truths you absolutely need to know before saying I do again. Whether you're already in a relationship and thinking about taking that next step, or you're just curious about what it might look like to open your heart to someone new, this conversation is for you. Because love doesn't have an expiration date, but it does come with a few more layers when you're in this stage of life. So, let's get started. The first truth we need to talk about is this: your priorities have changed, and that's okay. Think about it. When you were younger, marriage might have been about building a life together, buying a home, raising kids, planning for the future. But now, your priorities are likely very different. Maybe you're more focused on enjoying your time, traveling, or simply having someone to share quiet moments with. And that's a good thing. It means you're coming into this with a clearer sense of what you want and need from a relationship. But here's the key: you have to be honest about those priorities with yourself and with your partner. If one of you is dreaming of a life filled with adventure, and the other is looking for a quiet, predictable routine, those differences need to be addressed early on. Because at this stage of life, compromise is still important, but so is making sure you're both on the same page about what you want your shared future to look like. Now, let's talk about the second truth. Your financial situation matters more than ever. I know, talking about money isn't exactly romantic. But here's the thing: when you're over 60, your financial picture is a big part of your life. You've worked hard to build savings, maybe you're living on a fixed income, or perhaps you're still working part-time. Whatever your situation, it's crucial to have an open and honest conversation about finances before you remarry. And I'm not just talking about how much money you each have, I'm talking about your spending habits, your debts, your plans for retirement, and even how you'll handle things like inheritances or supporting adult children. These conversations might feel uncomfortable at first, but they're so important, because the last thing you want is to find yourself in a situation where money becomes a source of tension in your marriage. So take the time to sit down together, maybe even with a financial advisor, and make sure you're both comfortable with the plan moving forward. And that brings us to the third truth. Your family dynamics will play a role. Let's face it, when you're over 60, you're not just marrying a person, you're marrying into their family, and the same goes for them. Your adult children, grandchildren, and even close friends will all have opinions about your decision to remarry. Some might be thrilled for you, while others might feel hesitant or even resistant. And that's normal. Change can be hard, especially when it involves someone new coming into the family. But here's the thing: while it's important to listen to the concerns of your loved ones, this decision is ultimately yours. What matters most is that you and your partner are on the same page about how you'll navigate these relationships together. Will you blend your families? How will you handle holidays and special occasions? These are the kinds of questions you'll want to discuss openly, so you can start your new life together with a clear understanding of how you'll handle these dynamics as a team. Now, I know we've covered a lot already, but we're just getting started. These first 3 truths about priorities, finances, and family are so important to consider as you think about remarrying after 60. But there's more to explore, and in the next part of this conversation, we'll dive into the remaining truths that can help you make this decision with confidence and clarity. Because here's the thing: love is a beautiful thing, no matter your age. And with the right mindset and preparation, remarrying after 60 can be one of the most rewarding decisions you ever make. So, let's keep going. Now that we've talked about how your priorities, finances, and family dynamics play a role in remarrying after 60, let's move on to the next truth you need to consider. This one might feel a little more personal, but it's just as important. Your health and lifestyle habits will impact your relationship. Let's be real, when you're over 60, health becomes a bigger part of the conversation. Maybe you're in great shape and feel like you're in your prime, or perhaps you're managing a chronic condition or two. Either way, your health and your partner's health will shape your life together in ways you might not have thought about when you were younger. For example, let's say one of you loves to travel and has a bucket list of adventures, while the other prefers to stay close to home due to health concerns. Or maybe one of you is an early riser who loves to start the day with a walk, while the other prefers to sleep in and take things slow. These differences aren't deal breakers, but they do require open communication and a willingness to adapt. The key is to be honest about your health and lifestyle habits from the start. Talk about your routines, your energy levels, and any limitations you might have. And don't forget to discuss how you'll support each other if health issues arise down the road. Because here's the thing, marriage is about partnership, and that includes being there for each other through the ups and downs of life. By having these conversations early on, you'll be better prepared to face whatever comes your way together. Now let's move on to the fifth truth. Your emotional baggage needs to be unpacked. Now I don't mean that in a negative way. We all carry experiences from our past, relationships, losses, challenges, that shape who we are today. And that's okay. But when you're considering remarrying after 60, it's important to take a good honest look at how those experiences might affect your new relationship. For example, if you've been widowed, you might still be grieving the loss of your partner, or if you've been through a divorce, you might have some lingering trust issues. These feelings are completely valid, but they're also something you need to address before moving forward with a new marriage. The good news is, you don't have to do this alone. Talking to a therapist or counselor can be incredibly helpful as you work through these emotions. And it's not just about dealing with the past, it's also about making sure you're emotionally ready to open your heart to someone new. Because here's the thing, a strong marriage is built on trust, communication, and emotional intimacy. And that starts with being honest about where you are emotionally and taking the steps you need to heal and grow. Now I know these truths might feel like a lot to think about, but here's the good news, they're not meant to discourage you. In fact, they're here to help you approach remarriage with clarity and confidence. Because when you take the time to consider these factors, your priorities, finances, family dynamics, health and emotional readiness, you're setting yourself up for a relationship that's built on a strong foundation. And that's what really matters, isn't it? Finding someone who complements your life, who makes you feel loved and supported, and who's willing to walk this journey with you, hand in hand. But we're not done yet. There's still more to explore, and in the next part of this conversation, we'll dive into the final truths that can help you make this decision with even more clarity. Because here's the thing, remarrying after 60 isn't just about finding love, it's about creating a life that feels fulfilling, joyful, and true to who you are. And with the right mindset and preparation, you can do just that. As we continue this conversation about remarrying after 60, let's dive into the final truths that can help you navigate this decision with even more clarity and confidence. These last points are all about embracing the beauty of this stage of life, while being mindful of the practicalities that come with it. Because here's the thing, love after 60 isn't just about romance. It's about creating a partnership that enriches your life in every way. The sixth truth we need to talk about is this. Your independence is worth protecting. Now, this might sound a little counterintuitive when we're talking about marriage, but hear me out. One of the great things about being over 60 is that you've likely spent years building a life that's uniquely yours. You have your routines, your hobbies, your friendships, and your sense of self, and that's something to celebrate. But when you bring someone new into your life, it's important to find a balance between togetherness and independence. For example, maybe you love spending quiet mornings with a cup of coffee and a good book, while your partner enjoys starting the day with a brisk walk. Or perhaps you have a close group of friends you love to spend time with, while your partner prefers more one-on-one interactions. These differences are completely normal, and they don't have to be a problem as long as you both respect each other's need for space and individuality. The key is to communicate openly about your needs and expectations. Talk about how you'll maintain your independence while still nurturing your relationship. Because here's the thing. A healthy marriage isn't about losing yourself in someone else. It's about growing together while still honoring who you are as individuals. Now let's move on to the seventh and final truth. Your happiness is worth fighting for. This might sound obvious, but it's worth repeating. After 60, you've earned the right to prioritize your happiness. You've lived through challenges, learned hard lessons, and come out stronger on the other side. And now, as you consider remarrying, it's important to remember that this decision should add joy to your life, not complicate it. That means being honest with yourself about what you really want. Are you considering remarriage because you truly want to share your life with someone, or are you feeling pressure from others, or even from yourself, to not be alone? There's no right or wrong answer here, but it's important to be clear about your motivations. Because here's the thing, marriage is a big commitment, and it's one that should bring you fulfillment and happiness. If you're not sure about taking that step, that's okay too. There's no rule that says you have to remarry to live a happy, meaningful life. The most important thing is that you're making choices that feel right for you. Now let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. We've talked about how your priorities, finances, family dynamics, health, emotional readiness, independence, and happiness all play a role in the decision to remarry after 60. These truths aren't meant to overwhelm you, they're here to help you approach this decision with clarity and confidence. Because here's the thing, love after 60 is a beautiful, rewarding experience, but it's also one that comes with its own set of considerations. And by taking the time to think through these factors, you're setting yourself up for a relationship that's built on a strong foundation. As we continue this journey of exploring remarriage after 60, let's take a moment to go a little deeper. We've covered some essential truths, but there's so much more to unpack when it comes to building a fulfilling relationship at this stage of life. This is where we get into the nitty-gritty, those practical tips, heartfelt insights, and little details that can make all the difference. Because here's the thing, love after 60 isn't just about the big decisions. It's also about the small, everyday moments that add up to something truly special. Let's start by talking about communication. Now, I know this might sound like a no-brainer, but it's worth emphasizing communication is the foundation of any strong relationship. And when you're over 60, the way you communicate can make or break your connection with your partner. Think about it. You've lived a full life, and so has your partner. You've both developed habits, preferences, and ways of expressing yourselves that might not always align. That's why it's so important to be intentional about how you communicate. For example, let's say you're someone who likes to talk things out right away when there's a disagreement, but your partner needs time to process before having a conversation. These differences can lead to misunderstandings if you're not careful. The key is to be patient and empathetic. Take the time to really listen to each other, and don't be afraid to ask questions if something isn't clear. And here's a pro tip, try to focus on I statements instead of you statements. Instead of saying you never listen to me, try saying I feel unheard when we don't talk about this. It's a small shift, but it can make a big difference in how your message is received. Now, let's talk about something that doesn't always get enough attention, the importance of shared values. When you're over 60, you've likely developed a strong sense of what matters most to you, whether it's family, faith, community, or personal growth. And while it's not necessary for you and your partner to agree on everything, having shared values can create a sense of unity and purpose in your relationship. For example, maybe you both value spending time with family and want to make sure your grandchildren feel like a priority. Or perhaps you're both passionate about giving back to your community and want to volunteer together. These shared values can become the glue that holds your relationship together, especially during challenging times. So, take the time to explore what matters most to you and your partner. Have those deep, meaningful conversations about your beliefs, your goals, and your vision for the future. Because here's the thing, when you're aligned on the big stuff, the little stuff tends to fall into place. Another important aspect to consider is the role of intimacy in your relationship. Now, I know this can be a sensitive topic, but it's an important one. Intimacy isn't just about physical connection. It's about emotional closeness, trust and vulnerability. And when you're over 60, intimacy might look a little different than it did in your younger years, but that doesn't mean it's any less meaningful. For example, maybe physical intimacy isn't as central to your relationship as it once was, but you find joy in holding hands, sharing quiet moments, or simply being there for each other. Or perhaps you're discovering new ways to connect that feel right for where you are in life. The key is to be open and honest with your partner about your needs and desires. Don't be afraid to have those conversations, even if they feel a little awkward at first. Because here's the truth. Intimacy is a vital part of any relationship, and it's something that can continue to grow and evolve as you grow together. Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked, the power of laughter and play. When you're over 60, life can feel a little more serious. You might be dealing with health issues, financial concerns, or the loss of loved ones. And while it's important to acknowledge those challenges, it's equally important to make room for joy and lightness in your relationship. Think about it. When was the last time you and your partner shared a good laugh? Maybe it was over a silly joke, a funny movie, or a shared memory that still makes you smile. Those moments of laughter and play are like little bursts of sunshine in your relationship. They remind you not to take life too seriously, and to find joy in the everyday. So, make it a point to seek out those moments. Whether it's trying a new hobby together, playing a game, or simply reminiscing about the good old days, find ways to bring more laughter and play into your relationship. Because here's the thing. Life is too short not to enjoy it. As we come to the end of this conversation about remarrying after 60, I want to take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. We've talked about the importance of aligning your priorities, having honest conversations about finances, navigating family dynamics, and considering your health and emotional readiness. We've also explored the value of maintaining your independence, prioritizing your happiness, and deepening your connection through communication, shared values, intimacy, and laughter. These are the building blocks of a strong, fulfilling relationship at this stage of life, and they're all within your reach. But here's the thing, knowing these truths is just the first step. The real magic happens when you take what you've learned and put it into action. So let's talk about how you can do that. Let's talk about how you can turn these insights into a roadmap for creating the kind of relationship you've always dreamed of. First, let's revisit the idea of starting with yourself. Before you can build a strong relationship with someone else, it's important to have a strong relationship with yourself. Take some time to reflect on what you truly want and need from a partnership. What are your non-negotiables? What are your deal breakers? What kind of life do you envision for yourself, and how does a partner fit into that vision? These are big questions, but they're worth asking, because here's the truth, when you're clear about what you want, you're more likely to attract someone who aligns with your values and goals. Next, let's talk about taking it slow. When you're over 60, there's no need to rush into anything. In fact, taking your time can be one of the greatest gifts you give yourself and your partner. Use this stage of life as an opportunity to really get to know each other, not just the surface-level stuff, but the deeper, more meaningful aspects of who you are. Spend time together in different settings, have those important conversations, and pay attention to how you feel when you're with this person. Do they make you feel supported, respected, and valued? Do you share a sense of ease and comfort when you're together? These are the signs of a healthy, lasting connection. Now, let's talk about building a strong foundation. A successful marriage after 60 isn't just about love. It's about partnership. It's about creating a life together that feels balanced, fulfilling, and true to who you both are. That means being willing to compromise, communicate openly, and work through challenges as a team. It also means celebrating each other's strengths and supporting each other through the ups and downs of life. Remember, a strong foundation isn't built overnight. It's built through consistent effort, mutual respect, and a shared commitment to making the relationship work. And finally, let's talk about embracing the journey. Remarrying after 60 isn't just about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about savoring the little moments, learning from the challenges, and growing together as a couple. It's about creating a life that feels rich with love, connection, and purpose. And here's the beautiful part. You have the power to shape that journey in a way that feels right for you. So, as we wrap up this conversation, I want to leave you with this thought. Love after 60 is a gift. It's an opportunity to create something beautiful, meaningful, and uniquely yours. And while it might come with its own set of challenges, it also comes with endless possibilities. So whether you're already in a relationship and thinking about remarriage, or you're just starting to explore the idea, know that you're not alone. You have the wisdom, the experience, and the strength to make this chapter of your life one of the best yet. Before we go, I'd love to hear from you. What resonated most with you in this conversation? Do you have any questions or experiences you'd like to share? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more content tailored to your needs. Because here's the truth, you deserve to live your best life, and I'm here to help you do just that. Thank you so much for joining me today. Here's to love, laughter, and living your best life after 60. Until next time, take care and keep shining.